All right, welcome to episode 10 of the We Rock podcast. That means we've done this 10 times, and each time gets more and more exciting. I say it monotone.
Well, it gets more exciting for us.
Maybe it does. Maybe. Who knows? It depends on.
I can see
who loses baseball the night before.
Do we have to go there?
Huh? Yeah. Do we not always?
We hashed it out last night.
Still, it's really your fault. You got more excited over running out the door to watch the Starlink satellites over watching the game. You got to pick your priorities, man.
I geek out equally on both.
So here we are on 10, and this one's a little different. I'd say a little different. We've done a couple of guests over time, but we've brought on a guest to come hang out with us, and we've got Ian Turpin with us. From South Louisiana, Hammond, which if you don't know where Hammond is, if you're in New Orleans, you cross Lake Pontchartrain and make a left, right? No, left, but correct. Is that about right?
Correct. Yes, it is.
There's nothing exciting in Hammond, is there?
No. Not much going on here.
Well, I mean, wait a minute. Isn't it the guy who does the logging from not swamp people but the logger guy, he's in Hammond, isn't he?
Shelby Stanga.
Yeah, that guy.
Men. Some of the swamp people guys are here. Yep.
Oh. Yeah. See, so, I mean, there's something going on there. I mean, which is, I guess, exciting. So, well, Ian, for people who don't know who you are, we know who you are because we hang out with you a few times a year. and get to watch, you post pictures of your Jeep or the what is it, Stormtroopers or whatever Jeep that you got.
Yeah, Star Trek.
Yeah, that one. They all look the same. So, no.
Wait, where is it? Where is it that we hang out at? Is it the SMBA convention?
Yeah. So, have you heard of this SMBA convention deal that we do? Every June.
I have. I've been there. It's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. Eventually, we're going to run that joke into the ground.
Oh, and we'll keep.
We're close.
We'll start digging.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at some point in time, there's no way to dig but out, and I think we've beat that dead horse and then pulled it up and beat it again.
And there's always the glue factory.
So Ian, tell us about yourself. Of course, we know who you are, but go ahead and where you start, what you do, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah. So Ian Turpin from Hammond, Louisiana. I own Hammond Memorial Design. I've been doing monuments retail for 25 years. Yeah,
and we met Ian before he started his own shop, or I met Ian before he started his own shop. He was working over somewhere else, and was doing a great job over there, and just been. Has it been almost 10 years, or not quite?
5 years, or right at 5 years next month.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember the exact amount of time. I just remember I feel old whenever I talk about time because it starts to strip away. I really blame the advent of COVID for a lot of that because. And we lost like a year or two of reality at that point. So, but no. So Ian's been a good friend for a long time, and he's been around to the conventions for quite some time as well, and sits on the board with us and for SMBA, and but he does good work, quality work, and has learned how to do chisel work because you've been to Hard Rocks, is it right?
I have. I've been once. I was scheduled 2 other times, but wasn't able to make it. Hurricanes, things like that. Gulf Coast living. That's right.
And all. It's funny because people always say like, "Oh, why don't you live on the Gulf Coast with all the hurricanes? Like, live anywhere else." I mean, still would rather live on the Gulf Coast and deal with the potential of a hurricane every couple of years.
Yeah, at least a hurricane's something that's coming. I lived in northern Japan for a long time, and an earthquake hits immediately. There's no chance to get out of that.
No, see, now my wall's shaking. That bothers me. A lot of wind and rain, and especially when your structure is built to withstand it. Okay, that's a different animal. So we got a couple topics we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit here in a little bit about some rebuttal stuff about our previous one, but kind of wanted to talk a little bit about some of the differences in advertising for monument companies. Just briefly, because I've had some stuff come up, and we had an email yesterday, and it was funny. It was a phone call from a local TV station as well, where they sent out this blast email to everybody, and then all of a sudden, then they give us a call, and about an hour later, and says, "Hey, wanted to see if you got that email for this this thing we're doing. We're having a advertising consultant come talk to us, and so that we can teach you about how to advertise." Like they've sent it out to I don't know, Church's Chicken, and to Bob's Body Shop, and all these other things. I'm like, none of this stuff works for what we do, right? I mean, that we have to advertise a little bit different because of the sensitive nature of what we do. So I kind of wanted to bounce around some ideas about what y'all do and things that we do here that y'all have found that has worked for y'all pretty well. Now I know we'll do a lot of stuff when it comes to not just our website and how we produce signs on the truck and whatnot, but even down to whether it's Facebook advertising or Pinterest and stuff like that. So I don't know, Austin, you have stuff that you do that works or think works, or people tell you works?
Real heavy on the newspaper. No. I stay as far away. I stay as far away from the newspaper as I possibly can. As of right now, the most effective forms of advertising I've found that have worked for me are my television commercial that I run, and then also Facebook. Those. So
do you actually? So I did the Facebook advertising for a while, and then Zuckerberg pissed me off or something. Whatever. I ain't sending money over that way anymore, and so we've kind of pulled up. Now we post things, but I don't know that we actually spend money on things there.
Yeah, it's especially with Facebook. For one, if you're going to use Facebook, stay as active as you can with it. Just trying to keep yourself out there, and anything that you get from that's going to be purely organic. That it's just going to be the people that have already liked your business, or anything that somebody may share that extends on to somebody else. That's pure organic. Where your Facebook really starts to work is whenever you start doing the paid advertising. And as far as what it costs for that, you do get quite a bit of return on it.
So you're actually seeing phone calls off of some of that. Have you made? Hey, can you directly connect a sale to it?
Yes.
As of yet?
Yes.
Okay. Enough to justify the costs?
Correct. Yes. And
because that's really the key, right? I mean, you can sit there and talk all day long about other stuff. But if you can't directly connect the costs to it, then what's the point?
Exactly. Yeah. The television commercial I run currently right now, about the time I start to think that it may be getting a little stale and it's time to either pull it down or move over to something else, I'll have 2 families walk in that week. Oh, we just see your commercial. We love it. And my commercial, it's a different one from what you see a lot of monument companies have used before. Most monument companies I've seen that do advertise on TV, it's just pictures of stones, crossfading to another, soft piano music in the background. And then, of course, you see the words dignity, respect, love, all that. That's boring, and it really doesn't get somebody to lock their attention onto it. Mine, I was fortunate enough to have a customer of mine sit in and agree to be filmed and talk about her experience with us. And she's a pretty well-known individual in this area, has run a business. I think it's been in business for over 50 years here. And there's a lot of people that really latch on to what she says. And that one, she's happy with me keeping it up because she said it gives her business, free advertising for her because she does mention her business in it.
Yeah. Well, and that's always good because then you can cross over something that they love that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking now, I'm trying to find where if I can play my audio. See, I'm gonna have to share the screen. Sorry, I know my face turned away from the mic a little bit. We fixed all this stuff though, right? I mean, it didn't sound like it used to.
It sounded a lot better, especially the last episode. It was leaps and bounds above what it had been. Right.
Okay. Don't mind the actual image of that. What's drawn there. But I'm gonna play this and see if this. You can't hear it?
No,
Is it not working?
No audio.
All right. No audio. I'd share screen. Oh, well. Either way, see if I can go through. I always forget how this stuff works in this thing. Options. No, that's not going to let me share the audio. Anyways, I've got, maybe what I'll do is I'll end up sharing it onto, okay, go away. Sorry, it's asking questions as I'm clicking on stuff. So what I may end up doing is taking that audio and I'll share it onto our We Rock podcast or whatever and shit. But a lot of it, like for us, like we run a TV commercial as well, and I've taken that same audio clip and we run it into our radio ad that plays on country station, the classic rock station, and so forth. And it's really, man, it's kind of it's not somber.
Mm-hmm.
To say celebratory would be a bit of a misnomer because celebratory sounds like we're having a party, but it talks about it starts off saying stuff like legacy and honor and those kind of things. So it sounds like you're creating a hero, and then in the images of it, it actually will play images of me breaking rock and whatnot at first, and then it ends up going into showing images of some of the stuff that we've done. But it talks about a story. It really dives into it being about a story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because we've got this car dealership here in town. I've always hated is not the right word. Loathed is the appropriate word. They're commercial. I guess it works for them, but they've been running the same commercial since I moved here 20 years ago. And it is this guy, and he's sitting in his room. In fact, of course, again, visual cues on an audio based podcast. He's sitting, leaning back in his chair in his office, kind of like I am now, and it's a high wing back chair like this. And, he's talking to the camera. He says, "Now, I would not sell a car on my lot that I wouldn't sell to my neighbor. He lives right across the street." And from the first moment I saw this commercial, I was like, I don't know that you like your neighbor. Like you're sitting here telling me that's your, you won't sell something. And I'm like, that doesn't mean anything to me. And it's just so cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him when we started working on what it was going to sound like, I very much said, look, I can't have it cheesy. It does not play well for what we do. Cheesy sounds rough. So they wrote the copy at first, and then I went back and I rewrote it.
Mm-hmm.
And really kind of showed them how we wanted it to feel. It turned out great.
Mm-hmm.
I explained to him, I said, look, what I'm interested in it sounding like is a high-end jewelry store. Right?
Okay.
And not like, I don't know, Gaddy Town.
Right. And I work with a marketing agency here in town. They're a local one, and they do have they do reach out there pretty far. Actually, they're nationwide, but they're based here in Wichita Falls. And every time I've sat down with them and talked about, because we do have another commercial that we're going to be shooting, hopefully sometime during the fall. That I've told them this one's a tough one because it's hard to make our line of work look exciting because nobody wants to do business with us. If they're doing business with us, that means that the worst has happened. And a lot of people, they don't even want to think about that. And so you're not wanting to make something that's boring, but at the same point in time, there's certain lines, especially in our business, when it comes to advertising that we cannot cross.
Yep.
Because the risk of offending somebody is pretty great.
Yeah, you run a very high potential of ticking a family off, and because you're gonna have people have a bunch of different views, so you've got to be somewhat sensitive to every aspect of it. But in the same boat, you've got to make it understand what you do. So and I think some of this stuff has changed over the years, and I may hear from other people about this that say, no, this still works. And I think some of this stuff's geographic, right? We don't do obit letters anymore. We stopped doing that a long time ago. And because we got a lot of bad feedback off of it. People were like, it felt like it was insensitive and those kind of things. So we said,
I've had some people tell me that they feel that it's predatory.
Correct. Yeah, like you got to decide what's worse, that or the ambulance chaser lawyer. And I would say that is. So, at least the connotation that it comes off. I'm not calling somebody. I know there's probably still a few people that do it, and it's fine if it works. For them, if they should be monitoring their numbers and on what is working and how people are coming in. That was not working. I don't know that worked for me from day one. I think we sold. Over the number of years that we did it, we sold a couple of monuments off of it. Not very many. So, yeah, not my cup of tea. We've done the radio. The radio's worked real well, especially using the Christian radio station. That's played out really well for me because for that one, a lot of dentist office around town are are playing that in their office. Some attorneys, doctors, and different things. They're playing it in their foyer or waiting rooms or whatever.
Right.
And so that plays out really well because then you'll hear it. Now, obviously, for me and us, we're Christians, and so I don't feel like it's disingenuous for us. But we play that there, and we've been playing the one on the classic rock station. I was a little hesitant on the classic rock station because classic rock isn't what it was when we were kids. Classic rock when we were kids was Zeppelin and Stones, and then you get into the 60s and it was Hendrix and stuff like that. I think the sad thing is you turn on the classic rock station now and you're hearing Nirvana.
Yeah.
Metallica.
It's a sign we're aging.
Like if I hear Oasis on it, I'm like, no, that's not rock. It's not the same thing.
Right.
Wonderwall is not a classic rock song. No. And if I hear Nickelback on there, no.
Oh, I know you're a closet Nickelback fan. Don't deny it.
No, it's but so yeah, we played on the country station or whatever. And actually, the country station here is pretty cool because it's not all what's that guy's name? Luke Bryan and Aldine, and it's not all that junk. Actually ours does
Red Dirt music.
Yeah, it's Kevin Fowler and Aaron Watson, Ranger Smith, and they're playing some of the Sturgill Simpson, if you've heard of him.
Oh yeah,
out of West Virginia, and some of those guys.
Shoot, my new favorite is that Oliver Anthony.
Oh man,
that song
that dude blew up.
Is insane.
Dude blew up. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
So, Yeah, I need to get him on my advertisement.
Oh yeah.
So that dude's a little busy right now, I would think.
Oh yeah. And he put out a statement. I read it today that he said, of course, he's had these multi-million-dollar contracts offered to him. And as of right now, he's turning them down. He said that he's not wanting to move very fast with it. He says he has a show scheduled, and it's like at a farmer's market coming up. And a few weeks ago, he said like 20 people showed up to listen to him play. And then, of course, then he blew up, and then like 4,000 people showed up to watch him play.
I just want to invest money into that farmer's market.
No joke.
just temporarily.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, no, but so that's kind of some of the spots where advertising. We're not. I've been doing more focused on the way we approach things. Actually, one of the I'm kind of talked a little offhand, and I won't spread it yet because I haven't got anything confirmed or whatnot. But about having a guy come in and at SMBA next year already to talk about how not only his sales techniques, things he does to make things more beneficial for customers, and some of the stuff that we do has worked well on the advertising side that we do in-house and not necessarily out-of-house.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, I have a folder that we give our customers. Pull it up and I'd show you, but it doesn't matter because it's an audio-based thing.
Mm-hmm.
Only you would get to enjoy the picture, but it's a very nice folder that we have printed. It's got our logo on it and a picture of a stone that we open it up, and it's got some work on the inside of it. But we put inside there the contract, and a copy of the layout, the receipt that shows their payment, that stuff. Any questions? I have to ask. Excuse me. And those are some of the things that we put in there as placeholders for them, and then we tell them all the time: put this contract or this folder with your will, so that when you need to do the final date, you know where to find us.
Correct.
So it's simple stuff like that we're doing a lot of. How we present ourselves on the vehicle. My guys are to wash the truck once a week.
Mm-hmm.
So tomorrow's Friday. They will be washing the truck tomorrow. Because we want not only and I make them clean the inside too, by the way. Because I always figure if I get them to clean the inside, and my guys are not too terribly worried about it, but I figure if I get them to clean the inside and make a habit out of it, they'll do a better job on the outside.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so, the truck I want it going down the road, looking clean, looking good, because that is a giant rolling billboard.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely so. But one thing we also need to be looking into is the newer forms of advertising that do not fit the norms of what what's always been done in the past. Because way back when, newspaper, everybody read the newspaper. Now, nobody picks up a newspaper. And on top of that, the newspapers have basically priced themselves out of, getting what you invest in it. You're lucky to get it back out of it.
Right. So skywriting is a good. or you could pay one of the girls on TikTok, the influencers, to sponsor your stuff, right?
It's working. Now, I mean, now I don't personally use it, but as weird as it sounds, that is a new form of advertising.
Yeah, it is, and I guess it's working. I don't really know. That's still so new for me that I don't know how I could get it to transition.
My thoughts on that goes back to a saying that's been said for quite some time: is quit making stupid people famous.
Oh, yeah. Why are you doing podcasts with me then?
Well, we ain't famous. Infamous.
Infamous. Yeah. That's probably much more appropriate.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are areas in the industry in which our names are not necessarily highly talked about. So it's we're spoken about in corners of the country with our names being derogatory terms. That actually was for the longest time. That was a badge of honor for me. Was I had said that you become somebody when Tom Oglesby uses your name as a verb. I didn't say that the verb was a good verb.
Right.
It was just a verb.
Right.
And so the way I found out about that was Jason Gamble had called me up one day. He goes, I placed this order and Tom took the order, and he calls me up and says, why are you sending me this Tony Watson? I was like, well, I guess I've made it. I didn't say where I've made it to. I've just made it somewhere.
Oh, yeah. No, and I had to pull up this quote just so I didn't butcher it, but it was a quote by Paul Pierce. It says, if they're not talking about you, you're not doing something. You're not doing anything. So if they're talking about you, you may be doing something right. And when they talk bad about you, just use it for the motivation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that you've got to understand where you're really at in a lot of this, and you want to be talked about well. Some of what started this conversation with you and I yesterday was I was talking about, I was actually at the bank yesterday, talking to the banker about stuff that we're getting ready to do here. And because we're very fortunate, we're blessed here at our shop. We're growing. More families are trusting in us to take care of their families and their stories. And so we're using that as fuel to grow and really kind of get in, hopefully move into a bigger, better place. Anyways, I was talking to one of the banker, our accountant.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we talked about was he said, well, I live in this town that's north of here a little bit. Says, we just had a new high school state championship stone put up. I said, yeah, I know who does those, but it was not me. I said, but the funny thing about that was I'd gotten a call and it didn't go much further than that because I would have given it to y'all.
Mm-hmm.
He says, what? And I go, yeah, we've done that a couple of times. I'd have given it to you. Now, what I would have done was, and I explained to him, I said, here's how we do this is I give it to you. It doesn't cost the school diddly. So, but I get to go find 5 or 6 businesses who want to pony up and pay for it. Mm-hmm. And we will be a part of it. And we're going to do this whole thing, no cost to y'all. But those businesses get their logos on the back of it. We're not going to flood the thing with logos. We're just a handful of businesses and their logos on the back.
Right.
And he says, really? And I go, yeah. So once we have it there, it's going to sit by the stadium, and instead of paying, I don't know, there's a high school there. Y'all, can you buy the sponsorship banners that go along the football field and all that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for us, I think it's like, I don't know, $1,500 if I wanted to buy the banner that goes along the football field, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could do that, or I can put the stone up by the bleachers that for the honor of the state championship and put my logo on the back of it. And now, instead of paying $1,500 every year, my logo is in your face as you walk outside of the stadium every time, in perpetuity, and in much nicer fashion than a 4x8, what are they? Banner, So it's just something we've done. We've talked to them about even doing benches at these schools for these businesses that allow them to see company names and stuff like that. I explain, look, we sell these benches for X number of dollars. And I only say X number of dollars. We'll get into that here in a minute when we talk about some of the answers to other stuff. But, we sell like a harp leg bench for X number of dollars, and you take it and mark it up to some stupid number, and you tell a company that they want to put their logo on it, and it's going to sit in front of the high school forever. and that's advertising for them, but it's also advertising for me because now whenever I do this, whenever I do it now, my logo is there forever. Right. And that makes so much sense. So I'm all about doing these things, these smart moves and stuff like that. Ian, I don't know if there's anything that you do that's unique or whatever advertising that works.
I don't know about necessarily unique. We do letters to families after someone's passed. I think a lot of monument companies still do that. And
that was actually one of the things. For those of y'all who don't know, Ian had to step out for a second, but we had talked about that, and it doesn't seem to work for us here. We've had some backlash on it, so I am interested to see. So do you still get good reports from that?
We do, and for us, because we've only been at this location since we opened 5 years ago, it's a good way for us to get the word out, because we're not a long time seasoned established place.
So that that's interesting. That means that the obit letters are geographic, is what it seems like. Because even Austin and I were both saying for us it hasn't worked. I've had kickback for sure, where families have said this feels like a ambulance chaser kind of thing. But if you're not getting any of that feedback, because that was the only feedback I was getting, I wasn't making sales off of it, and it was just so much extra work for us.
It's a ton of work.
Oh, it is, absolutely.
But we do that. Google Ads works really well.
Google Ads we do, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we advertise in the local newspaper online through their obituaries and throughout their website.
Yeah, and we do that too. I've actually got a company that handles all our AdWords and our website stuff and SEO, whatnot. And it's actually funny enough. I don't know if they want that information spread. I'll have to reach out to them and see if they want their name shared. But it's there's another monument shop up in Ohio, and one of the individuals who's there, his wife works for this company that takes care of stuff for us, and they've done a really good job. It's not that they've saved me money because I chose not to spend less. I think they've used my money more lucratively. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that makes sense.
Well, I'm interested to see what the two of y'all did, because all three of us, we started our businesses from nothing. We weren't a branch of anything. We started fresh.
I had $100. That's not nothing. Come on.
But that was $100 how many years ago?
Well, it had bought more than just one tank of gas.
Right.
Tank and a half.
Right. But getting started, I can start with you, Ian. What did you do to get your name out there? Because obviously you were not a household name.
No, the company wasn't, and that was the big question for me when I started out, because I wasn't going to have any of that repeat business. But I had been in the industry and in this area for a long time. So cemeteries knew me, funeral homes knew me personally. Mm-hmm. And we actually had a lot of families that knew, remembered me, remembered my secretary from where we were before, and came to us because of that. But really the Google AdWords and the letters, I think, helped establish getting our name out there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think for me it was building a website. I spent a lot of time early on building that site. So I had when I went full time with the business, there were two things I had to do every day. One was fiddle around on the monument builders group that I had started building at that time. The other was research other monument shops' websites. Mm-hmm. So I spent a lot of time on other people's sites, picking out what I liked, picking out what I didn't like. I would label the site. I would make notes on all this stuff. And then I had a big-time cheat. The big-time cheat was actually my mother-in-law, because my mother-in-law was a stay-at-home mom. And I asked her in her downtime, if she had any, to look at monument shop websites from around the country. She had no background in the industry whatsoever. and I wanted her to make notes on what she liked and what she didn't like, what impressed her and what didn't impress her. And I took those notes, and those are the things we built off of when we built our site. Mm-hmm. So now that's all obviously one individual's opinion when it comes to that. And I did the same thing with my mom. And so we kind of procured those details from those other sites to kind of make ours the way we wanted to. Mm-hmm. And it kind of goes down to that same kind of design aspect of still like an artist is I really just kind of went in and took what I liked and made it my own.
Exactly.
And even now, like we've revamped our site a couple times. I still will look at other sites. There's been a growing trend for a certain style of website as of late, where everything seems like it's on one page and the links just move you down the page to a certain location. Mm-hmm. And I looked, and there's a bunch of sites that are that way, and that may be the new way things are going. I chose not to go that way because every time I would go onto those sites, they looked the same. Right. And I kind of felt like they almost felt like they're all the same company, just different backgrounds. And I was like, I still want to look different. I need to look like I'm different than all of that. So that's why we've kind of, websites are super important. I don't think people understand how important your site is.
Oh yeah, your digital,
how successful you're going to be.
Your digital presence matters just as much as your physical, if not more.
Well, and I've got let's see, Abby, who's back here. She's behind this monitor for those. Again, I love my visual cues. She's back here. Maybe if I say Abby loud enough, she'll raise her hand. Nope. She runs our social media stuff. So I've had people ask me. There she is. I've had people ask me about the posts that we've made and stuff like that, and I go, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
So she's making all those posts, but not only just doing it on Facebook, she's doing it on Instagram. She's doing it on what's the
Pinterest?
Pinterest. Mm-hmm. Yep, on Pinterest, and I think there's another one. I don't keep track of them anymore, but
MySpace.
Yeah. She's not doing TikTok videos. So I mean, they're
not that you know of.
Hey, look that I know of.
I'm looking for the I'm looking for the Watson dance compilation video on TikTok to be coming up soon.
There's actually this lady on TikTok I've been following. I'd love to have a conversation with her, but she's I don't know if y'all been on there and seen it. Can't think of her name. Hadley something. And she is a hospice nurse who wrote a book. And all of her TikTok videos are just these connections that she's had with her hospice patients. Mm-hmm. And so she started a TikTok a number of years ago, I guess, and it was really just kind of talking about these interactions that she'd had. And then she wrote a book, and it became a New York Times bestseller almost instantly. Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, that's actually a really cool advertising way for us to go about that, is just using these moments to talk with families. And if I can, and I may try this where if I can get a family that I think is on board, shoot a quick video with them here in the office, just interview them, and then run that on our Facebook page and our Instagram page and even a TikTok page for that matter.
Oh,
just
yeah. The person,
and the story. Tell the story in the background.
Yeah, the personal connections and stories, those go way further than anything that you could ever say yourself. People will latch onto that a lot more than they will just seeing you do something or say something.
And it's not fake. That's the big deal. Is we don't want it fake.
Are you going to put down at the bottom, not paid actors?
That'll work.
Yeah. Make stories great again.
Speaking of websites, Tony, if you remember when we'd first made ours, we borrowed some generic monuments off of your page and another person's because we didn't have any pictures to start with.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was one of those things where when you reached out, and that was important. I had somebody allow me to do that because when I worked for Swan, and they reached out, and or I reached out to them to see if this is something that I worked on whenever I was with Swan. Are you willing to let me use it? And they said yes. And it only made sense to do the same thing. And you weren't in my backyard, so it wasn't going to confuse anybody. It didn't matter, and I knew the quality of what you produced. So it was, because of where you were before. So I knew that you weren't going to be disingenuous with any of those families. So being willing to work with people and share that information, it's really kind of what this group, what podcast is about anyway. It's sharing that information that we deal with now.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid to reach out to people and ask, hey, can you help me with this, or can I use that, or whatever? Heck, half the people that's what the Monument Builders group is about anyway. It's sharing ideas.
And font.
And do I?
And fonts.
Yeah, and fonts, yeah. It also is a great way to discuss your issues with online sales, apparently.
Yep, that seems to be a hot topic at the moment.
Well, okay. Look, so obviously this is why the big reason we asked Ian on, because we want outside opinions, right? It's one thing we can toot each other's horns here pretty quick, but you don't get an outside opinion that it's just us running our mouths. But
that's not what people are here for.
I'm going to run my mouth anyway.
I'm like the rebuttal witness.
So and Ian, you heard the previous episode. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm guessing there, right? We assume that you heard it.
Gosh, if he would have said no.
He said, "It was nice having you, Ian." Yeah, all right. So, in the last one, we really talked about the issue with these monuments being a commodity in these online sales. And so we had gotten some comments back concerning that. And this is going to I don't intend to name that individual, because I don't intend to bash them. I'm not going to make fun of them. It's not what I'm here for. I just want to kind of address some of the comments, because they're long-winded, and I don't type very well to spend a lot of time typing. But kind of wanted to address some of those thought process and break it down with other people, because I think having the comment and the conversation goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them was talking about calling some of the business models greedy because of the markups. And I think you've got to be careful and break this down. And I think that I would say that if I had to guess, that comment was not necessarily that it was. I think it was just bombastic, right? It's a big comment to really drag it, get attention, right? And maybe that was painted with out of irritation. I don't know.
Right, it was painted with a pretty wide brush. Now, are there some that are really egregious offenders of what he was talking about? Absolutely.
Yeah,
but
sure,
for the most part, the majority of us do not fall into that category.
That's correct. Really what it comes down to is, so you got to break down certain things, right? What is the average household income is a big one in your area, because it doesn't just play into the cost of what somebody can afford. And we're not necessarily doing that price because that's what somebody can afford. But that household income is just a good barometer. It's kind of like, what do they call it whenever you BMI, when you're judging your weight, your body mass index, and they're like, oh yeah, we got to know your body mass index to know if you're healthy or not. That's stupid. If you could be overweight or really heavily muscled, BMI is going to be show that you're obese, which is stupid. So the same thing goes here when you're talking about average household income, because you're using it as just a general barometer. But what that goes into play is stuff like your tax rate on the property, sales tax. If Texas has got sales tax, or maybe you don't have sales tax, your state has an income tax. You've got to factor into that. How big is your staff? How big is your building? Is your building in a location where the expense is higher than other areas? Some places like strip centers tend to be a little bit more expensive than if you're just outside of city limits, right? Some of those kind of things all go into play, and you've got to factor that into your cost. If you don't factor that into your cost, you better have bulk sales to be able to make those numbers up. I have a hard time swallowing that. So when you start talking about what's the cost of a 2x1 marker, right? Because it's something we all sell. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not going to list a number because I don't think that's fair, but you can range from anywhere from, what do we see them at? What do we see them on when we were talking about that? Do you remember?
On the online retailers?
Yes.
Or, shoot, they're anywhere from $300 to $400, if not less.
Okay. And then they can range anywhere upwards of north of $1,500.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
So if we're ranging in that general scale, that's a big swing.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm taxed on here in Brazos County, Texas, is different than what, I don't know. Here, we'll pick a high tax rate city just because it's easy. New York City,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Joe Casera, who's kill me, because I always get the two. We're just, you know what? I'm not going to say what they don't call them villages. What do they call them? Boroughs. Gosh, why can't they be like Louisiana and call them parishes? I don't know. I get the two boroughs confused, and so I'm not gonna step in that pool of mud. But the New York City is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It's expensive to live there. It's expensive to do business. I mean, he was talking about one time. He and I were talking about he needed to hire somebody to go do death days. He posted in Money Builders Group probably 6 months ago or something, just to go. He was going to hire him from somewhere else, bring him in, put him up in an apartment, and let them do dates. He was asking, is this a fair number to pay? I'm going, I will come do that for that price. And but it's a different world,
mm-hmm.
you know? I mean,
oh, yeah.
Ian, what is, I think a gallon of gas is not necessarily fair, but like a normal commodity that's in your area that we would have everywhere else.
I'd call it just rent on like a 2-bedroom apartment.
Oh, well, I can blow that out of the water quick because of the university. But go ahead. Yeah. What is that?
Yeah. I mean, around here where I'm at, last I had heard, rent on a 2-bedroom apartment was probably about $1,200. I'm
looking up while we're doing this.
Mm-hmm. But I do, going back to the whole TikTok thing, there's I cannot remember the guy's name, but he shows different apartments, lofts and things like that in New York.
That's Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Oh, no, somebody else.
But rent on a 1-bedroom apartment that's probably the size of the office I'm sitting in, they're asking upwards of like $5,000 a month for that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. So I just clicked on one. Actually, I know where this is because it pulls up. $1,200 for a 2-bedroom.
There you go.
And I hesitate on that a little bit, only because I know that some of the that's actually stupid cheap. I know that some of the apartment complexes here in town are renting the room first, so you will rent the room. The bedroom, and you obviously end up with the kitchen and all the other amenities in there as well. But your bedroom and access to the kitchen and all the other stuff that you're going to share with another individual is $1,200 a month. A lot of times around here for more of a luxury.
Wow.
Yeah, my daughter is in a studio apartment in Orlando right now. It's over $1,300 a month, and it's like 900 square feet. No, it's not that big. It's like 400 square feet. It's tiny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you start factoring that stuff in, I mean, that stuff controls stuff. So I've got to pay an employee, right? Mm-hmm. And they've got to be able to afford rent, milk, and eggs, and gas, and car insurance, and all of that stuff to be able to function. So the options are: I either charge enough for what I'm selling, and I can hopefully make a nice living, or I can not charge enough and struggle, right? And I have to sell a lot of it to do it. Mm-hmm. But I'm still limited on the number of people buying.
Mm-hmm.
So my philosophy on this is this. I'm going to charge enough for it
mm-hmm.
to justify it. But I'm also going to put in the extra effort to create the value to justify the cost.
Mm-hmm.
So that's into the design aspect, that's into the craftsman aspect, that's into what we're going to allow to come out of my shop is going to be to a point where it makes sense.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And don't set your pricing structure to where you're selling yourself short. Don't be the one that's proud to say I'm the cheapest in town, because you may think that that's going to be the big draw for you to bring people to you, and it may hurt the individuals that are in your area that are selling that product for more. But what happens when the day comes that somebody comes in and they want to undercut your prices because they think they can do it cheaper than you? Then
I'm not interested in the race to the bottom.
Nope, that's exactly where I was going. It's a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
And don't forget to factor in the serviceability. I mean, how many times you go to the cemetery, you check on it, you check with your customer, all of that's a part of it. It's not just the stone that you produced, but can you effectively communicate with your customer? I've been to the cemetery on a particular job 5 or 6 times trying to get the cemetery to install the thing, where I could just throw up my hands and say, hey, we did our part.
Mm-hmm. Well, and okay, so that actually goes to the next statement, which was one of the other comments on there was it's the headstone is a service, not a product. Basically, being sarcastic, but yes, it's a service. It's not a loaf of bread.
No,
I mean, specifically in my shop, it's not a loaf of bread either, because I'm not using the same design that anybody else is doing. Every one of our designs is unique to that family. And that's even to the point where if I'm using the standard rose, it's not being used in the same standard setting in which it was intended.
Right.
We're adjusting all of this. So, yeah, it's a service because I'm also calling the cemetery to make sure that what I'm doing is going to meet the restrictions. I'm also making sure the setting fees are taken care of. I'm also making sure that I know when I can get in there. Maybe there's I'm going to check and make sure there's not a service going on at that time whenever I go out there. Mm-hmm. I'm making sure there's so many things that we're scheduling and having these discussions with. And, maybe it's, even just servicing it afterwards, right? Mm-hmm. The unpopular thing that we do. When I say unpopular industry wide, right? Is we warranty our foundations.
Same here.
And I don't know. People go, oh, why? You can't do that. Do it. And I'll go out and I'll fix it. Mm-hmm. Now, I have caveats.
Correct.
Caveat being, I'm not going to drop everything and go out there to re-level the stone. Mm-hmm. I am going to wait till I'm in that cemetery again.
Right.
Before I go do it. And I have my guys carry extra concrete on the truck, or if they run across one that's already leaning.
Well, I mean, and for one, just beyond, the foundation guarantee, that's something that is meant to give your customer, and it's an added comfort to them that knowing that it's going to be taken care of, but also have enough pride in your work that whenever you go to the cemetery, if you see that headstone's leaning, that reflects badly on you.
Oh, yeah. Running statement here in my office is that that cemetery is my art gallery. I need it to look good. Mm-hmm. If my stones are leaning, it doesn't look very good. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm after. I want them to stand up. I want them to look great. So, I mean, there was a lot of comments on what was said in there, and again, I could go down blue in the face, and I'm not trying to belittle the individual by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's different rules of thought. Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess my fear was that we weren't necessarily clear on what we were talking about, but that really kind of introed into the next conversation, because there was in the Monument Builders group, not the forum, in the Monument Builders group. So a discussion yesterday from Luke, and Luke, if you listen, I've known you for a while. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I'm going to butcher your name, and we're trying to decide do we say it differently each time until we get it right or not. I can't. But Luke Magaha. Yeah, do you have any other way to say? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't. Look. East Texas kid doesn't know how to say half of anything, so go ahead and apologize. But
well, as Ian said, we'll just keep it at Mr. Luke.
Yeah, Mr. Luke. So, Luke's a good dude and wants to do things the right way, and so he's got, he posts in there about being approached by a shop to set these 3 flat markers. And, this is actually one of the shops that we had looked at when we were talking before.
Mm-hmm.
And let me back up. I'm not going to necessarily say this is one that we were specifically talking about. But when we were doing research, this is one of the shops that we'd looked at.
Mm-hmm. As far as how they presented themselves.
Yes. So, in the discussion, what was telling was, some of the question, because we've all kind of had this gone back and forth. Do you install it? So, and I think Ian, you said you don't, correct? You won't install online stuff?
No.
Yeah. So, in this, it was the discussion of do you install it or do you not? And I think everybody's kind of worried that other people are installing this stuff. And I've been saying for a long time, just don't do it. Just tell them no. It's not worth it. It ain't worth touching it. It's not worth the liabilities. Back away. You've got enough stuff to do on your own. Go do your own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It became rather clear in that group that the overwhelming, in fact, I don't think there was a single individual who commented saying that they would install it. Right. Is that right?
I've yet to see anybody that has come right out and say that they do it.
Yeah. So we won't do it. It seemed like anybody in there said they weren't going to do it. I think I'll scroll down because I had made this comment that said, "Oh, it seems to me like if that gentleman who was, talking to that family, trying to sell those 3 markers, really wants to do a good job taking care of that family, he'd install it." Mm-hmm. They're just markers,
mm-hmm.
And I'm. The problem is the amount of work I got to put in. It looks disingenuous whenever you've sold the marker at $300, and I'm going to charge them $500 to go install it.
Mm-hmm.
And I look like I'm ripping them off, and that's what you're going to tell them is, they're ripping you off. But my truck went this morning to go install a flat marker. Over 30 minutes away, close to 40 minutes away, and went down there and came back. You add in the install time, it's a flat marker. Well, it is. Ian, when was the last time it rained over at your place?
It's been a while. We got a little bit the other day, but not enough to speak of.
Okay, we hadn't seen rain since like May. So
it's become a story around here that the old timers talk about.
There was a country song about the old guys sitting around talking about the weather. We haven't had any rain in a long time. There's cracks in the ground big enough for me to put my hand in.
Mm-hmm.
And so the guys have to take a generator with them. They take the hammer drill, and they're cutting the spot for the marker, and they'll even wet it down if they need to. I mean, there's a lot of work in all this. So let's hypothetically say this particular one, it didn't, but let's say it took an hour. Okay, 40 minutes down, 40 minutes back up. So it's easy to just do say 45 minutes and say it's an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So you're an hour and a half travel time, and then you've got an hour install. So you're at 2.5 hours, and I've got truck note, fuel, guys time, whatever. So it was just one guy on this particular one. But you start adding up all that cost and all that stuff. It's expensive. And then you're going to tell them I'm going to do it for $100? No, because I'm not even going to break even.
Yep.
I can't.
Who's going to guarantee that foundation later you talked about?
Correct. I'm not guaranteeing the foundation for somebody else's work because it's expensive. That's built into the cost of the stone.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, and that's where things are. Look, when you buy a car, you think that car's price is built into it. You think you're paying for just the materials? No. Depending on what manufacturer you're buying it from, you may be paying. Well, I think the one I heard last was something like $12,000 out of a U.S. manufacturer. So it's something like Ford or Chevy or Dodge. $12,000 of every car goes to union dues or union whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so you look at those numbers, and you're like, that's just that. That's not the labor. That's not the shipping. That's not the material cost on the job, because they build them in bulk, is actually a small portion of that car, of the value of that car.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree. Cars are overpriced. That's what they're selling them for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I can negotiate some, but I can't negotiate that far down, because even the dealer wants to make money.
Right.
For doing what? Handing me the keys, making me spend 2 hours in their dealership with bad hot dogs or stale popcorn or whatever it is they're trying to get me to. I don't know.
I'd rather get hit in the face with a dead cat as opposed to sit inside of a car dealership.
Well, that could be arranged, I'm assuming.
Given the choice, I would take it.
I mean, I would guess that right now, Ian doesn't have his camera on, so I don't know, but I assume he's got his hand raised right now. He's probably looking for a dead cat.
I am. I'm doing a Google search. You can have one there on my Amazon tomorrow.
So what's interesting about this is, Ian, you had asked, you were kind of part of the conversation later on in this about Luke's deal, which is part of why we asked you. That, and you know how to use Discord, which was an added bonus, because I didn't want to have to explain that to somebody else. So,
yeah.
But when it comes to this individual who is selling these monuments, it came up as, are they an MBNA member? Right.
Yep.
And there's rules in which it is to be an MBNA member, right? And look,
definitely.
Let's be clear. There's a lot going on. I'm not here to say MBNA screwed up or MBNA's in bad form or whatever. What I'm saying is, who knows? Let's hypothetically say this person reached out, said, hey, we want to be an MBNA member. MBNA goes, well, there's some rules and bylaws. In order to be an MBNA member, do you have a storefront? The guy runs out front, takes a picture of the building, does a storefront. There's a sign out front, and there's 50 billion ways to make a monument shop look like a monument shop,
mm-hmm.
and it looks that way. Right? Don't know, but it came up as if they're a member. Now, I will say in this thread, and I'm going to give full heads up credit. They jumped on the board. MBNA board members jumped up really quick and said, we're going to look right into this. Right? Am I off base?
Nope.
You saw that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Multiple board members said that.
Yeah. So they're on it. So let's give credit where credit is due. They're looking into it. They're trying to figure out things on how to handle this, because it's just a rough look on the industry and rough on us as retailers trying to do our job, and especially if we're trying to educate what it is. And that guy who sold them, man, maybe he's got an honest job at selling stuff in a local area, and he's just thinking he's helping people out outside of that area, right? Because sure, there are areas in the country that are not served well when it comes to monuments,
mm-hmm.
right? And you know that when you start looking at, there's a swath of our country that's basically anything that's, I guess I'm gonna pick a number, 100 miles inland off of the West Coast. And if you draw a line from San Antonio straight north, in between those two lines is a broad spot track of, I think it's about a third of the U.S. landmass that 9% of the U.S. population lives in. So you're few and far between when it comes to people, but then you're even fewer and far further between monument shops. Fair?
Yes.
So if you're trying to service that area, sure, there's only a limited number of things that you can do, which is ship something out. But call somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You know? We had one last year, and I talked about it before, in Wyoming. Now, this was a statue, and my wife and I made a trip to go install it, and not because I couldn't had it installed. I reached out to Drew Bott. Drew Bott's a good friend of mine. He's an honest dude. If you don't know who Drew is, you've seen his stuff at some point in time. Drew does amazing work. But the cost for him to drop everything to go install this stone for me in Wyoming, which made sense, his number was not off, was high enough that you go, you know, for that price, I can make a trip out of it with my wife, and we will go out and have a good time. Mm-hmm. And it'll just be her and I will go do the install. So I've traveled to do these installs, and I understand it's a couple flat markers, but just pass it on. It's not worth it. Pass it on to somebody that's local. Mm-hmm. If you find somebody over there, it's not worth trying to fight over a few bucks. You know? I've done that before. I've asked people to do stones for my family before in other areas. So why would you not just go ahead and do that?
Correct.
So I don't know. It seems to me like I struggle with the balance of, is it about making money or is it about taking care of the families? And I think that based on the comments of the previous one, individuals could see it both directions and from both sets of chairs, right? Mm-hmm. Because I'm looking at it going, you're telling me that I'm making too much money on it, but I'm not taking care of the family, or I'm taking advantage of the family, that I feel like I'm giving them so much service to justify that value. Mm-hmm. Whereas on the other side, you're thinking, well, I'm not taking as much money from them so that they can pick their thing, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe this shouldn't cost them that much. I think I fear the most that at some point in time you have devalued what you're doing so much that it becomes hard for you to service other people.
Correct. Well, and it's also about where people see value. And I'm not necessarily saying that as an excuse to raise your prices, but if you were to compare yourself versus a online retailer or let's just say some other subpar retailer out there, there's a reason people pay more for a Cadillac than they do a Kia. And both of them are cars. Both of them perform the same function, but one of them there's an expectation with it.
One of them's from South Korea. So, I mean, there's a big difference there. One of them, Perry Giles would drive.
The Kia.
And you get to make the decision on the Kia.
No. I think he's a Chevy.
I don't know if
he's a Chevy guy. I'm pretty sure of that.
I know he's a Chevy guy.
Yeah.
I know he's a Chevy guy. Yeah, he's got a Chevy truck. So, yeah, I can confirm that. Mm-hmm. So, but I don't know. I would like to, I don't necessarily know that we need to continue to go down this path and continue to have this conversation.
Right.
I think it'd be good for us to continue to bring it up from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and maybe eventually we have other people on and ask about it and see what they think. But you know, I mean, like I said, I don't know if it's fair because Ian, you're here and you're obviously like-minded like us, so maybe we end up having somebody who disagrees with us on here, but I don't know their phone number.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, just about everybody I know kind of agrees.
I mean, so correct me if I'm wrong.
There's service after the sale. There's, what you do, to make that sale. Personally, I don't want that Amazon.com, purchase. That this is a product I wouldn't do that with.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm already cautious about certain things I buy on Amazon anyway. Maybe it's me.
Right.
I don't like buying stuff online that I can't touch. I mean, look, cell phone case, a USB cord, whatever. If I'm spending, I don't know, if I'm spending $1,000 on something,
yeah.
If I want, heck, I'm actually cheaper than that when it comes to it. If I'm spending $500 on something, it better be in my hand as I walk out the door. It's not if you've got my money in your pocket, I better have whatever it is I've bought in my hands. Because I just don't trust you to ship it. I don't trust it. Heck, we got sand in that was shipped in today. Not gonna name who shipped it because it's not their fault, or who it came from because it's not their fault. But the shipper busted 6 bags of sand. I paid for that before it ever left. That's not true. I'm net 30. So nevertheless, I had to pay for that, and they busted it. So it's much easier for me to be able to walk out the door with stuff. And I don't know. I'm probably way off base. So I guess I can get off my soapbox on that. But one of the things we do need to talk about coming up now, we've got Ian on this week as we're kind of wrapping stuff up or whatever. But there have been, I've gotten calls. I think Austin, you've had some messages and stuff like that, same kind of thing or whatever.
Yes.
There's been questions about events that have happened within the last 2 weeks. I'm not going to go into detail of it. If you either know about it or you don't. But questions as to whether or not we were going to talk about it. So I'm going to go ahead and answer some of that here, and I'm going to be a little vague because we don't know exactly what that's going to be. A lot of stuff going on in the industry right now. Some big news stuff going on. And we have been in conversations to have somebody come meet with us and have the conversation.
Yes. Yeah. Leadership of MBNA.
Yes. That does not mean that we've nailed down a time. We'll be fairly soon. They got a lot on their plate and want them to get stuff going on, get their feet about them. Conversation's been good. And I will go ahead and say that I have spoken with the leadership. I am confident that things are going to do well. And that things are going to, that change. The focus has changed, and the focus is improvement and whatnot. Okay. That being said, and I'm doing this obviously on the fly as I'm saying this, and I'm trying to be cautious because I really am not interested in character assassination. If you saw posts on Monument Builders Group, I said the same thing in there. Not interested in character assassinations because it's not fair. Right. I'm privy to certain information. I'm privy in multiple directions, and I don't know that it's fair to sit there and publicly or even privately sit there and knock anybody.
Right.
So I don't intend. That's not what I'm after. But the conversation that we are hoping to have is that that's coming up is really kind of more about moving forward and what things look like to help hopefully build some confidence in the industry, right? And so that's what we're hoping to do.
Just moving forward.
Yep. And I've been asked why. The truth of the matter is there's not value in character assassination.
Correct.
Not only that, look, there are people who feel one way or the other about whoever is doing whatever, right? And if we're all divisive and not talking about moving forward, then we're never moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody's entitled to their opinion on whatever matter it may be.
I do not wish, I'm going to say it now, I do not wish ill will on anyone.
Correct.
On anyone. So, wish everyone the best. Everybody's got their own stuff to handle. I've got my own stuff to handle. So, I look forward to having that conversation with leadership over there, and I think it'll go well.
Yes.
But I wanted to go ahead and preface that so that people know that conversation is coming, but it is not to belittle anybody. That's not what's going to happen.
Right.
So, and I'm not interested in your messages that might do so.
Mm-hmm.
From, it's just not what we're doing.
Correct.
So,
yeah. So be looking for that one.
Do what?
I said be looking for that one. That one, like we said, it's in the works, and it's again, it's not to focus on anything negative. It's focusing on moving forward.
Correct. And that's the crux of all of it. And it's to make sure people understand the whole aspect of this is to build confidence. I mean, there's a, I think anytime stuff like this tends to happen, everybody gets shaky and weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like we see that right now. If you've looked at your cryptocurrency or anything recently, you've seen changes, and especially if you've looked at your stock market stuff, and you've gone, why does this look a little different? That's why. Because it's not because of the industry, it's because of other stuff going on when it comes to these aspects. So. I think it's conversations about moving forward are important, and that's what we're after.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would say that even from Southern Monument Builders, we've had issues in the past as well, and sometimes it's difficult to address a situation until it happens because you may not have been put in that situation before. So,
right,
it's just maybe a learning curve for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, I think that is my overall hope and goal with this conversation, and that is that in doing so, it's not just MBNA, but we at SMBA, and I'm not trying to throw others under the bus, but just really every association across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Takes the time, steps back, takes a breath, reevaluates everything, and under the auspices of what is our goal, right? What is our goal as an association? What is our goal as members? And what is our goal as individual retailers? Is it to take care of the families, or is it to make money? I think if you've already made that step to be a member of any of these associations, your number one goal is those families.
Yes.
I'm taking a big wide swath at things there. Certainly, I'm sure there's always somebody who may have different ideas. But I think number one goal for everyone, is to take care of those families.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean I'm thinking that individuals are not trying to take care of families. What that means is, I think we can all tend to agree that if the goal is to take care of the families, then improving what our associations are doing and the value of what they are and what is going to happen going forward is important to talk about probably every once in a while. every few years or so because things are changing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And as one of the board members said, don't just bail on the organization. Get involved. Make your voice heard. Let them know what you want to see. Don't just drop the group and say, I'm out of here.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was one of the comments I got as a phone call. I was on with one of them, and somebody said the value of specifically MBNA, but this runs true with SMBA. The value of the association is what you put into it.
Yes.
So if that's the case, get involved. Mm-hmm. And look, you don't have you don't feel confident getting on a committee. You don't feel like you've got the time for any of those things. I'm not going to be the guy that goes, "Oh, you should get on a committee," or "Why aren't you on the website committee?" or "You should be on the TikTok committee." I just wanted to go there. Topic. I'm
going to bring that up as an order of new business at our next meeting.
Who can we get on can we get Jonathan Benson to do the TikTok page for us for SMBA?
I'll consider Jonathan. I was leaning more towards Perry.
Conflict with his OnlyFans.
Which one, Perry's or Jonathan's?
I'm not sure. Either one scares me.
They do the reverse model where they start sending you pictures and you have to pay them to stop.
Already on that one.
So no, I think getting involved does not mean you have to be on a committee or you've got to be running something or be whatever. It can mean oftentimes just showing up.
Yes.
And learning and being a part of some of this stuff and utilizing things that are there. You want value out of it. You got to be there. Same is true for SMBA. I think SMBA, we've got hurdles coming up, and a lot of it's because things have changed since COVID.
Yes.
I think we did a pretty good job at this last convention, but we need to make things more valuable for our vendors. We need to make sure that there's value for them to show up, and some of that means change. And I have been quoted in the past, a change in the monument industry is like dragging monument builders into the 20th century. And for those of y'all who understand a calendar, you understand 20th century. I think we're in the century in which is on Ian's car. Is that correct? What is the Star Trek century? What is it based in? Are we not even quite there based on the fictional year?
No, we're not there.
Okay. We should probably be looking and planning ahead. But either way, the point being is that we've got work to do across the board. Now's the time. Now's the time we have tough discussions about should we be joining with other associations? Should we be willing to travel? Should we? I don't know. Invite people who are not members, who maybe are competitors, to join and show up to the conventions.
Yes.
I did that. I have done that and invited one of the companies down the road to show up, and they're a direct competitor. If we're not going to grow together, we're not going to improve our area, and that's what I want. I want it better. I want it better for the families I serve. 100%.
Oh yeah.
If I don't have the families that I'm serving, on business, it's not the way it works.
Now and be looking for workshops coming up. Beyond the conventions. Those are, especially there's that one coming up at the Anderson's place in Ada. You do not need to be a member of any association to show up to that.
But what association is going to be there?
Oh, what is it? It's a big one. Oh yeah, SMBA.
SMBA.
We're going to take it over. It's going to be the biggest association. We're like Southern Monument Builders. And why do you have members from Nebraska?
We're a big tent. Yeah,
Big
but
Southern.
not just to expand on that one.
It's everything south of Canada. Okay.
Right. America's hat. No, the one in Ada that's coming up, that's October 6th and 7th. Of course, that's going to be held at Bodie Anderson Corey's there in Ada, Oklahoma. If you do want to attend to that, make sure you RSVP by Friday, September 22nd. You can do that by emailing sales@andersonq.com and just let them know how many people you're bringing. And they'll also give you instructions. They have a room block set aside at a Hampton Inn there. And one thing that's going to be exciting there is they're bringing back their pallet sale, which they're going to go through a bunch of their inventory, imports, domestics, and palletize a lot of it. And they're just going to have these pallets setting out, and they're yours to claim. Of course, there's going to be a price tag with it, but it's...
Can we just stay at Blake Shelton's house?
They do know him. I mean, maybe they can ask.
There's the people that different monument builders know is rather interesting.
Oh yeah, very.
But yeah, no, I think be out there. That I would push if you're new in the industry. Great place to be. Mm-hmm. If you're new in the industry and you found this thing, then you can find your way to Ada, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. And it also gives you an opportunity to see a full production shop and get a really good idea of where your product is coming from. Even if you're not buying from them, it's still the same process as it is in Elberton or Barry, anything like that.
Yeah. And Ian, there should be some off-road parks over there for you to take your Jeep.
Shoot, behind their shop.
This will be a shop seminar, so bring your employees.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Don't just send one person.
No, show up out there, have a good time. Go out to eat. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now. If you're new in the industry, if you're hungry to learn about what's going on, there's a couple guys that we met at our last convention. There's some guys who you and I, Austin, talking a lot about Nick. Nick's a good guy. He's not necessarily new, but he's new enough, and he would kind of go out there and do this kind of thing. But if you're new and you don't know anybody, don't just show up. Start talking to people. If they're not talking to you, talk to them. They're not going to bite you. I mean, a couple of them might, but it's a different thing. If you go up to them, ask them, start asking questions, they'll likely invite you to dinner.
Oh yeah.
And go to dinner with them, sit down, have conversations. Have these conversations to learn about the industry, learn about how they're doing things, how they're approaching families, how they're handling sales. Ask until you're blue in the face. You're not going to piss them off. That is what they're there for.
Yes.
Okay. So we say that, but I'll also go ahead and add into this. Ask those questions in the Monument Builders group. Reach out to us at the We Rock podcast page. If you have stuff, you can send it to us as a direct message. Heck, if you're looking for questions to be answered and we don't have the answer, I'll direct you where to call. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We most likely know the number of the guy that does know.
Yeah. And that's Ed Anderson.
Oh, gosh, yes. Yeah.
Ed's going to hate me. It's fine. I'm not giving out your cell phone number, Ed. It's fine. I'll give the office number. Can we give out Max's number?
Let's give out Max's I always threaten Max with that. I tell him all the time, hey, I'm going to put your phone number out there. Anybody has any questions, Max at Anderson Corey's.
If you have any questions, give Max a call at 580-555. He started getting worried. So, no, I think that's good. But so other than that, I think that's kind of where things are as of right now. We've got it doesn't look like the heat is going away anytime soon for us. And
negative.
No, it was 68 here last night.
Shut your mouth.
For like 8 seconds.
For 8 seconds, it's like when he opened the door of the house.
It's like Friday or tomorrow. Here, it's going to be a balmy 112.
Current temp right now is 106.
We got 110 right now.
We do have next Tuesday. It shows 40% chance of rain. I don't believe it.
No,
but 40% chance of rain at 96 is the high and 99 on Wednesday. So we'll see if we actually break this triple-digit streak. But I'm not going to hold my breath.
Nope.
We had that cold front. It was 68 last night. It's only 99 now. So people here in Parkas and they've got their like snow boots on.
Well, it's crazy. I went to Marble Falls on Tuesday and got up in the morning, drove out there, and it was like 11 o'clock. We're walking around the quarry, and it felt great. And I was trying to decide, is it because of the lack of humidity or is it because the temperature was low? And it still hadn't broke. I think it was 96 then. And I got in the truck, and I realized, God, we've been living in triple-digit heats for so long at this point in time that 96 feels good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So,
well, it's like, Texas has 12 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's winter, full spring, second winter, spring of deception, third winter, the pollinating, actual spring, summer, hell's front porch, false fall, second summer, and then actual fall.
Actual fall is like 1 week in December. Is that right?
Right, and then we roll right into winter.
So, but all right. Well, Ian, I want to thank you for coming on and joining with us. Wasting your day with us, and because that's what we do. So
appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry, my internet crashed earlier and got knocked out for a little while. But enjoy.
Well, I mean the squirrel that's over there holding those two wires together there in South Louisiana got tired in the heat.
Probably true.
And carrier pigeons and all kinds of stuff. I don't know. It's actually rather impressive that y'all have internet in South Louisiana, considering the way the roads are built.
Agree. Well, I have a Jeep 4-wheel drive.
Access to internet is much more common than access to good roads. So, on that note, I guess we'll sign out. We'll have we'll catch y'all on the next one, which will be 11, and we won't record it on the 11th, which maybe be appropriate, but I'm not going to do that. It's too long away.
Right.
So, but no, appreciate y'all's time and listening, and all tens of y'all that enjoyed and stuck with us, and been great.
Oh yeah.
See you on the next one.
We'll see you.